All right.
Are you ready?
Yep.
Okay. Hi, my name is Krista. I am a senior social work major, and I am presenting on victim blaming in our rape culture. My paper is called "Why Wouldn't You Believe Me? Victim Blaming in a Rape Culture." Okay, so imagine you're 8 years old and you're sitting on your biological father's lap in a nightgown and shorts, reading him a story by candlelight. You don't know why until you feel him touch you where no one should. You don't like it, so you say you have to go to the bathroom. You do, you cry, you stop. You go back though because you're scared. As the night progresses, you move to the couch where he covers you with your baby blanket, a colorful crocheted blanket that you love. He gets on top of you and you don't like it, so you tell him to stop. He does, he lays back down and does what he did to you earlier. You still don't like what's happening and you feel a little sick inside, so you rule off and you tell him that you have to go to the bathroom. You do, you cry, you go back out because he promised you coffee and candy if you did what he asked. But this time you go to the other side of the room on the love seat. He sits on the arm of it, crying, asking you what he wants you to do. You cry and you ask him to stop. He does. 2 days later, your biological mother coaxes what happened out of you and calls the police. You have to answer so many questions and draw pictures of what you were wearing. You have to play with dolls in a dollhouse and set up the room just the way it was in your father's room, and you have to show what happened. You get to bring your favorite stuffed animal with you, Snoopy. You and Snoopy are asked to wave at the mirror. We both have friends inside of it. You also have to go to the hospital and answer even more questions from strangers. You have to undress. You're cold. You have to spread your legs while someone looks inside you where you had already been hurt, but it isn't good enough. They don't see what they're looking for. So now you have to get on your hands and knees and bring your butt up so that they can touch you more and take pictures of your most private places. The doctors say there's damage, so you must be telling the truth. Why wouldn't you be telling the truth? You move in with your biological mom, her boyfriend, and his 2 kids. A couple months later, you're playing in a large closet with your mom's boyfriend's kids, Tim and Tiffany. You're wearing a dress and tights in the dark, and Tim says you can't ever play with him again if he doesn't get to see your private parts. You have no friends, so you agree, and he does the same to his sister. You go downstairs and you tell your mom, but she says you shouldn't have let that happen. Friends are that important. You were 8 with no friends. How are you supposed to know? You cry, you stop. You go to a courthouse and talk to the police and your lawyer about what happened with your biological father. You're told you might have to testify and that they're going to ask you a lot of questions that you won't like. They'll say things to make it sound like you're not telling the truth. But why wouldn't you be telling the truth? You're now about 9 or 10. You live with your great aunt and uncle, and they never ask what happened in the past couple of years. So you don't think they believe you or know what happened. So you don't talk about it either. Your family trusts your great uncle's cousin, so you sit on his lap like he asks. He puts his finger down the back of your shorts and into your underwear. You go to the bathroom, you don't cry, and you go back out and make an escape for your room. You don't tell anyone because you shouldn't have sat on his lap. You're 14 and with your boyfriend. He's cute and known to do sexual things with a lot of girls, but he's yours now. How lucky. He tries to put his hands down your pants, but you push off a fence and tell him no. You fall on the sidewalk and he gets on top of you. He forces his tongue into your mouth. You don't like it, but you're supposed to. A couple days later, you're hiding out in your sister's playhouse in the backyard. Your mom is sleeping. Your boyfriend pulls out his penis and forces you to give him a hand job. You don't like it, and you grab a hammer, and he stops. You weren't supposed to be with him, so you don't tell anyone, plus you're supposed to like it. About a week or so later, you're sitting outside in the dark with him waiting for your mom to get home. He puts his hands down your pants and you don't like it, even though you're supposed to. You stop, and soon after, you break up with him. You still don't tell anyone because they would tell you that you knew what he does with girls. You should have expected it, and if you didn't want to, you shouldn't have gone out with him. But why wouldn't you go out with him? You just wanted to be loved. You're 15 and your biological mother hits you because that's what she does when she's drunk, which is always. She then rips off your shirt and bra while screaming about how easy it would be to rape you, and that's why you went through what you did in the past. She then continues to claw at your hair and chest in front of people until someone pulls her off you. You're 17 and unfriend an aunt off Facebook. This turns into a huge argument about what your father did to you. Your aunt doesn't believe you because she doesn't know what really happened. You tell her, but she says that's besides the point. What's besides the point? You just told her what she said she didn't know. Your uncle holds the same view, but if you told him, you might actually kill his brother. So you can't. You have to let him not believe you. Your father's mother doesn't think that her son could ever do something like that, so you must be lying. Your uncle, who you call your dad, never tells you how he feels. August 1st, 2013. Dear Diary. Wow. I just found that paper in my box of stuff from 11th grade. I can't believe I opened myself up like that to a high school teacher. I remember it felt kind of good though. After all, 1 in 3 girls and 1 in 6 boys will be sexually assaulted by the time they're 18. Someone has to talk about it. I looked into why people don't usually talk about their assaults, and I found that a lot of the time the victim is blamed for their attack. People tend to blame the victim because maybe she wasn't dressed modestly, or she was drinking, or maybe she invited the person back to their room. But I know that if the person doesn't stop and ask and receive an enthusiastic yes, that they are on a dangerous line of possible rape. I started thinking about how victims are blamed for their assaults. As I was reading, I realized how much I hate it when people say, oh, well, maybe she wasn't drinking. She shouldn't have been dressed that way. Or she should have known not to trust someone she didn't know. Because all the times I was assaulted, I knew the person, trusted them, and was dressed appropriately. What do those people have to say to me? Well, my teacher didn't say a thing. She gave me a B- because my grammar, and apparently I didn't quite grasp the assignment. I felt so upset that I told her so much and didn't get any response, and got a B- on top of it. I felt like Mrs. Banana was saying my life, my personal story was a B, not my paper. October 29th, 2016. Dear Diary. I went out last night for Halloween and drank excessively. I don't remember very much, which is unlike me. I'm glad I had my boyfriend with me to take care of me though. However, even though I had him, I still had my knife on me like always, just in case someone tried to attack me. My knife makes me feel safe. Plus, if I was raped and I tried to use the knife, no one could possibly find a way to say that I was asking for it or didn't say no. I trust my boyfriend with all my heart. Almost. I hate that I can't trust him with all of it, even though I know he wouldn't touch me without my consent. I still had to ask questions to get answers without being obvious regarding what I was asking. He passed the test, of course, but there's always that little voice in my head saying, what if? With everything I do and everyone I'm around, no one is safe from that little voice. One thing I learned in counseling is that rape is not perpetrated solely for sexual purposes, but is a sexual act used to channel the offender's emotions of power, anger, and control. This is a huge thing for me because I felt so guilty in the past. I thought there was something I could have done, however, there wasn't. The people who abused me in my past only wanted power over me. They wanted to use me to take out their anger, to exert control, and to express violence. February 14th, 2018. Dear Diary. Seth and I just celebrated our 2-year anniversary yesterday and he proposed. I'm so shocked and happy I found someone who knows my deepest, darkest secrets and all the horrible things that happen to me, but still wants to spend their life with me. He knows I'm hard to handle and react irrationally at times because I'm triggered by the smallest of things, but he doesn't care. He helps me through it. I never thought a day would come when someone would want to marry a person like me, a person stitched back together after being ripped apart. July 18th, 2025. Dear Diary, I just found out that I'm pregnant with a baby boy. Seth and I are so nervous, but know that we will do just fine. I hope we can instill in him to respect women, even though they aren't around. We hope for him to not blame any victim of sexual assault just because it shakes his belief that only bad things can happen to bad people, and that we do not live in a just world. I know it is very possible if he has a girlfriend that she will have probably suffered some type of sexual assault, and I would hate for him to blame her on some level. Seth and I also hope that he will willingly stand up to his friends who perpetrate rape culture in hopes of educating them about respecting women as humans and not objects. I intend to be open to an extent about my assaults to him as well as any other children I may have, so they can know it can happen to anyone and understand the way I react sometimes around men or why something small bothers me more than a typical person. March 13th, 2027. Dear Diary. I'm pregnant again and it's going to be a girl. Seth and I have decided to name her Joni, after the woman I call my mom. I hope that we can keep her safe as she goes through this world and that she won't experience assaults that I have. I'm a little nervous because I was assaulted by my father. Will I worry every time my husband changes her diaper or gives her a bath? Will always be in the back of my mind. May 30th, 2045. Dear Diary. My daughter just married her long-term partner, Sarah, today. I'm so happy for them both. June 4th, 2045. Joni. Hospital. June 21st, 2045. Dear Diary, my daughter has finally left the hospital. She was attacked. I hope this would never happen to my children. Her friend decided to convert her to show her what a man feels like. I still can't process this. She and Sarah are staying with me for a little while until she feels comfortable going home where she was attacked. She still won't stop crying and blaming herself. June 29th, 2045. Dear Diary, after Joni told me about how her friend tried to convert her, I researched acquaintance rape as well as conversion rape, and here's what I found. Conversion rape is actually called corrective rape. Corrective rape is a hate crime where someone rapes another because of his or her sexual orientation or gender identity. The rapist's intentions are to turn the victim heterosexual, which is not possible. Acquaintance rape is a rape that is perpetrated by a person who is known to the victim. Hopefully, I can use this information when talking to those who may not understand our situation. June 30th, 2045. Dear Diary, almost everyone is blaming my daughter for what happened. I can't believe how uneducated people are. All I can do is stand up to them and tell them no. There's no way my daughter could have stopped it. How was she supposed to know he would do this? She trusted him because they had been friends for so long. I have also been trying to educate people on sexual assault via social media by telling them about corrective rape and acquaintance rape. On top of that, I reassure my daughter that it's not her fault, so hopefully she won't sink into any guilt the others are trying to make her feel. I'm trying to find other ways to combat this victim blaming, but it is so hard. People say my daughter incited it, and that she should just forget her rape. They also say she reacted the wrong way, and that in a year she'll be back to normal. All these things are untrue. According to a list of rape myths, research has found that a vast majority of rapes are planned, and that since each rapist has his own pattern, the best thing a victim can do is follow her instincts. They also said that victims who are not allowed to talk about the rape have a much more difficult time recovering from it. Also, if Joni were to be back to normal in a year, then why does Spalovitz and Prusner say that if abuse was of a sexual type, they saw changes in the somatosensory cortex, the area that processes input from the body to create sensations and perceptions? Somatosensory areas create a map of the body on the brain, which region processing sensation from specific body parts. As compared with non-abused women, women who were sexually abused had thinning in the area where the genitalia were located. They also say that abuse can interfere with development. To cope with overwhelming experiences of distress, the brain can alter patterns of signaling from the pathways involved, which can ultimately leave those regions underdeveloped from reduced input. The brain of a child who is raped, for example, may react by reducing the connectivity of the region that they were hurt. Although the prevalence varies depending on the severity and the amount of abuse, many sexual abuse survivors report sexual problems in adulthood, including reductions in desire and sensations. Sometimes they suffer from chronic genital pain. I already was so angry with those who said my daughter will be fine within a year, but once I found this information, it made me want to scream. I'm so angry at how uneducated this world is. Why can't they see what they're doing to me, my daughter, and anyone who has experienced sexual assault? July 2nd, 2045. Dear Diary, I thought I should add in why my daughter was in the hospital for so long. Rape does not only affect the brain, but the physical body as well. She had 2 black eyes, a broken nose, and a cracked rib. She also had tearing of her anus and cuts in her vagina. Lastly, she had rope burns around her wrist from being tied down. July 5th, 2045. Dear Diary, I've noticed that more men blame my daughter than women for her rape. I wondered why this was, so I decided to do more research. I found a journal that researched this and found that male participants generally reported more victim blame when a woman was sexually objectified. This must be what's going on. Joni has been sexually objectified and not seen as anyone or someone who didn't purposely put herself in the situation. I also found that students with lower knowledge of sex and a higher acceptance of social norms that accept risky behavior are more likely to hold rape myth attitudes. This leads me to believe that this is an educational issue as well as societal. So, sexual knowledge is an important factor in leading to pro-social attitudes, and I intend to educate whoever I can so I can play my part in ending victim blaming. March 10th, 2050. Dear Diary, Joni is doing better. She and Sarah decided to move to a new home, closer to me. They have a wonderful daughter named Sabrina, who is 2.5. We're all worried for her future, but are well educated on sexual assault and will never blame her if something were to happen. We know the psychological effects. We know how to take a stand, and we know how to fight. Thank you.
Wow.